This is lesson 2.6, estimate quotients. So we're going to estimate today using compatible numbers. And compatible numbers are just an easy way to estimate in your head, doing it mentally. So we're not going to actually be finding what the actual answer of 15 3/4 divided by 3 and 5/6 is. We're going to just estimate. So what we want to do is we want to think of two whole numbers that would be close to 15 and 3 that would be easy to do in our head. So looking at this, I could go up to 16 and I could round this up to 4 because in my head it's easy to do 16 divided by 4 because 16 divided by 4 is 4. So my estimate would be 4. Even if you had used 15 divided by 3, you would get 5, and 5 is still close to 4. In this next example, I'm going to go ahead and take 5 2/3 and round that to 6, and this time I'm going to divide by a half. The reason I'm using a half is because this is very close to 4/8, and 4/8 is a half. So what I need to think about here is how many halves would be in 6. So if you had 6 candy bars and you wanted to split them in half to share, how many friends could you share with, or how many people could you share with? So if I had 6 candy bars and I split them in half, I could share with 12 people. Alright, my next example, I have 7/8 and I'm dividing by 1/4. So what I'm going to do with this one, this is almost a whole, so I'm going to go ahead and round it up to a whole, but I'm going to leave my 1/4. So if I'm thinking, if I have a whole candy bar and I want to split it into fourths, how many people could I share with? So think about that candy bar. There's a candy bar. I split into fourths, so I could share with Andy, Bob, Casey, and David, and they could each, so that would be 4 people. So each person would get a fourth. So here we're going to do a few more examples of that. So here I'm looking at 22 4/5 divided by 6 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and round this to 6. And so if I'm thinking about multiples of 6, or my multiplication facts for 6, I know that I could say 3 times 6 and get 18, or 4 times 6 and get 24. 22 is closer to 24 than 18, so I'm going to go ahead and use 24 here. So we're saying 24 divided by 6 is 4. So my estimate would be 4. On this one, I could do this a couple of different ways. The way I'm going to start with is I'm going to keep the 12. It's already a whole number. I'm going to keep it. And I'm going to round this up to 4. So 12 divided by 4 would be 3. I could also just use 12 and divide by 3 and get 4, because 3 and 4 are very close together. With estimation, it's possible that it wouldn't be just one particular answer. You have several possibilities. Number 3, I'm going to go ahead and round this up to 35, and I'm going to leave this at 5. So 35 divided by 5 would be 7. And again, I could have gone down to 30 divided by 5 and got 6, but since this was 35 or 33 and 7/8 is closer to 35, I decided to go up instead of down. Alright, on this one we're going to go ahead and round up to 4. And here we have no whole number, so I noticed that 5 is pretty close to half of 9, so I'm going to divide by a half. So what this is really saying is how many halves would be in 4. So there are 8 halves in 4, so my estimate would be 8. Next, I'm going to go ahead and round up to 35. And I'm going to keep this at 7 because 35 divided by 7 is 5. You really need to know your multiplication facts. Alright, and on this one, I'm going to go ahead and keep this at 1 whole. And I'm going to keep the 1/6. So how many 1/6 would it take to make a whole? It would take 6. So there's my estimate for that.